Sometimes like you hear God, some commandments, and they just seem so crazy and outdated. But then if you examine them, you see the genius of it, right? Even things like bride price, people would say, "What? That's crazy. Who would do that?" I heard that the bride price, I don't know if this is accurate, but the equivalent of $400,000 today. So imagine if you're a father and you have a daughter, a virgin daughter, and you know that if you get her to the altar and she's a virgin, she's worth $400,000 to you. Do you
Yeah.
think the whoring would stop? Of course, at least a
Yeah.
lot.
I believe I agree. I think that there is still validity to the idea of valuing virginity, a father giving permission. I believe that's lawfully what we're supposed to do. And then there's a cost associated. Historically, that would be the bride price would be 3 years' wages, which is a lot of money. And that would be the fine that a man would give another man for sleeping with his virgin daughter, even if he rejected the marriage. So talk about Tinder's over immediately if men started getting fined for sleeping with a virgin. Like it's over. But also a man, if he really wanted her to be his wife, like Jacob, would typically work for the father. So Jacob worked for Laban. Obviously, he did 7 years. That was Jacob's idea. I don't know that Laban would have held him to that, but he came up with that idea. And that's usually how you'd pay a bride price. You would work for the father for a period of a few years, 3 years' wages, and then you would receive his virgin daughter as your wife, and you'd go and start your own family.
And the rate of divorce was really low back then too. Because imagine if you
Very,
worked for 3 years to get this girl, we get into an argument, we're gonna work it out. Like
yep.
we keep splitting up because I ain't gonna go work another 3 years for somebody else. Or maybe I will for the second one, but not for one to replace you.
Well, and
So
that's why Jacob had to work 7 years again. So it ended up being 14 years for Rachel and Leah. Very
so
long time.
so it really there is real genius in it when you examine it more closely.
But you need to teach your children that one flesh is marriage so that they value virginity again. And that we start to understand that sex before marriage that doesn't even exist in scripture. Sex is marriage. So when the man enters the virgin, it's marriage unless the father refuses. This teaches the boys to go to the father and ask before sleeping with a girl that he likes. Okay. And two, it teaches the girl not to just give it to anybody in the name of sexual liberty or whatever, but to go to her father and ask. This is the right way to do it. This is how it's done throughout scripture among those who were righteous and doing it correctly.
God made it really simple. If you think about it, he put a seal on women behind it, right? If you went to the store and you broke the seal off the milk and you took a sip and you put it back, no, you bought it, bro. Like you can't give it to the next person after you put your lips
Right.
on it. Not that women are milk, but I think people get the idea that it's a blood covenant between a man and a woman, just like we have a blood covenant when we're circumcised between us and God.
And it's
So
a physical reality. It's a great point you're making because it's a physical reality. It is not a certificate. It's a physical reality. The virgin is not a virgin anymore. She is a wife.